Hello everyone, my name is Venkatasai Maunish and my team members are Nidhi Patni and Sukanya Marathi. Our project is LinkedIn Profile Analysis. Thanks to our Professor Danieli for giving us this opportunity and guiding us. Let me give you the brief overview of the project. In this project, we are fetching data from the JSON files. Each JSON file here consists of one individual LinkedIn profile, which we're gonna take it as a source. So we're gonna store this data into the MySQL table using ETL pipeline. After that, from the store table data, we're gonna create a Tableau visualization which looks like this. So in our project of taking data, input data from JSON, we are creating this Tableau visualization as the end product. So for the ETL pipelining, we have used Pentaho software, and for this visualization, we have chosen Tableau. Now let me take you to the details of the project. Okay, let me take you to the details of the project. Here I have opened a JSON input file. For example, in this particular JSON file, it contains the LinkedIn profile information for one particular person, say Nidhi Patni Jain here. In this, it has fields like public identifier, profile pic URL, first name, last name, for which we can get the data straight away. But there are fields like experience and education, which contains multiple data, as one single person can have multiple work experiences and multiple degrees. So the data for these kind of fields are stored as array, which in the further parts of the project, we will explain you how to make them flattened using ETL pipeline and store the data present in this JSON file. For that, we need to create tables in MySQL in the first place. So here under the database group 03, which is our group number, we have created these tables, say demographic, experience, education, languages, etc., which is available in the JSON file to store the data. And we had made sure that appropriate uh, data definition is given so that if a person's LinkedIn profile does not contain these values, the data will be stored as null by default. So under this database, we have created all these tables like accomplishment, honor awards, accomplishment, patents, projects, and publications, so that the final uh, output, that is the data taken from the JSON files, will be stored in these tables. Okay, let's jump into this ETL pipelining part. So this is how our ETL pipelining looks like. Here we have created job refresh demographics, and this job will extract the data from the JSON input file and load it to the particular demographic table. And in the similar way, we have created other jobs for fields like experience, awards, publications, patents, etc., to store in the respective tables. Let me explain you the extract demography. So initially, we are uh, using this JSON input to extract data from the JSON file, and for that we have to give this path, which is internal entry current directory, has stored which we have stored all our ETL files, and in the same folder we have created a folder called output, and under output we have profiles folder which contains all the JSON information. So once we give this path under the directory, we will take only .json information from that path. So we use .json under this wildcard tag. So once that path is given, we go into these fields, which contains all the fields available in the JSON file. So if we open this JSON file, we have all this information, public identifier, public URL available at the root level. So we use $.field name to extract the data from the JSON file and store it in the public identifier. In the same way, we do that for all the fields. And the next part will be the select value transformation, in which we will select only the field names that needs to be stored in the demographic table. So from the initial part, we are selecting and taking only uh, these fields which are already straightened and storing them in the demographic table. In this part of save to demographic table, we will establish a connection with our MySQL database. So, so we'll give a connection name and select the connection type as MySQL. Give the details like host name and the database name which we have created in the previous step. And after selecting native JDBC as access and testing and establishing the connection, we will give the target table which is demographic in this step, and also make sure that this truncate table option is selected, because every time the ETL table runs, we don't want the duplicate data getting stored into the table. So by enabling this trunk table option, so whenever the ETL job runs, the tables will be truncated, and only after that the tables will be loaded to avoid duplicate data entering into the tables. So this is the demographic. This is how we extracted data from the JSON file and stored it in the demographic table. In the similar fashion, we can extract the data and store it in the education table as well. So the first step will be the same. Using JSON input, we will give the path of the JSON files, and it will have all the fields available in the JSON file. And in the next step, we select values. In this case, only we need education and public identifier, and the public identifier is the key which needs to be selected to identify each and every profile and map the education field. And this education field we have selected to unflatten in this step. And in the next step, we are extracting uh, the data in the education field, which is present in the form of array. So if we see the education as data stored in the form of array, which contains start date, end date, and other fields like field of study, degree name, etc. So if we see field, we can see the same has been entered here. And now the way we are extracting data is different. We are using array dot the field name to take the data from the education field and store it in the particular field, say school, degree name, etc. Once this step is done, we are we are extracting the start date fields from each particular education array value and store it in the separate columns, like we have starts at day, starts at month, and starts at year. So this data which is available in this form, day, month, year, ends at day, month, year, will be stored in the fields in this way. In the similar way, we have done for the extract end date as well. Once after this is done, in this step of remove education, we are gonna remove education start date and end date, which are already flattened, and we don't want that data against. We don't have to store that data in the education table. So in this step of remove education, we are removing these fields, which are stored as array. And in the final step of save to education table, we are doing the same thing, but this time we are changing the target table as education, establishing the connection, checking, making sure the truncate table option is enabled, and finally storing the data in the education field. In the same way, we have done experience, awards, publications, and one more thing to observe here is languages. So in this transformation of languages, let's go to the JSON input file. Here, the language is stored in a LinkedIn profile. In a particular LinkedIn profile is a single array list. It doesn't have fields like day, month, year. It is stored in a single array list manner. So that's why When it comes to the extract language transformation, we select fields in this format: array dot everything, which stores into the languages one as a single column. After that, in the same way, we remove that array from the transformation using the select values transformation and stored the particular data into the languages table, just like we done in the previous steps. In this way, we have created all these jobs to extract data in a similar way and store them in the respective tables. Okay, once after creating this ETL pipeline, we will check if the data is getting loaded into the tables as expected. So for that, we will open this MySQL query editor and run this dump file. So executing this dump file will check if there are any tables already existing with the same names, and if any table exists, it will drop them and it will create those tables again with the correct data definition we have given. So let's just check if these tables are empty. Okay, now these tables are empty. So now let's go to our ETL pipeline and run this and check the tables again to see if the data is getting loaded properly. Okay, okay, we don't see any error. It shows that the data definition which we have given for the tables are correct. Now we will see if the data got loaded into the tables. Yes, it has. Yes, so it is done. In the next part, we will see how we are taking this data stored into tables and create visualization using Tableau. Okay, once after the data is getting loaded into the tables successfully, now let's take this data and create a visualization. Here we have chosen Tableau for visualization. So let's create the data source first. Here we have created MySQL as connection, and under that we have chosen group 03 database, and we have created connections for all these tables: honors, patents, projects, publications, etc., with demographics table. And we have used public identifier, which is a key to connect all these tables with the demographics. Now let's jump into the dashboard. So this is the dashboard we have created. Let's select any other profile. So in this, first of all, we have created a filter select name under which the user can have the ability to select any other profile available in this list, or else the JSON input files we have given. Using that, we can select a particular profile, and Anthony J. James is the name of the profile we have selected, and this is the About You section given by this particular candidate on LinkedIn. And under this profile summary, these are the KPIs which we have used to perform LinkedIn profile analysis, which contains followers, highest degree, and etc. So from this dashboard, we can infer that this person, Anthony James, has these many followers and his highest degree is bachelor's. And when we hover over this work experience, it will give you the data regarding the company he worked in, the job title, the start date, and worked, and the same with the companies worked. So under this patents, it will give us the information about the patent he owns and the date of the that particular patent. And on the project, we have the project start date and end date. And these are the languages he can speak, volunteering experiences, and awards he gained. And for the work history plot visualization, I have chosen Gantt chart, which enables us to plot the work experience in this particular way. And when we hover over this plot, we get the company name and the work start date. And finally, these are the particular education details entered by James on his LinkedIn profile, which contains school, the degree name, and the field of study, start date, and end date. Now let's see any other profile and check if this dashboard is reactive and responding as expected. So let's select Nidhi, which is my team member, and yeah, the dashboard has changed responsibly. And this is the profile name and the about you section, the profile summary, follows count, and masters is her highest degree, and she has a total of 6 years, 7 months of work experience, and she worked for three companies before. Uh, Doing her master's at Illinois Institute of Technology, and she worked on 5 projects: Instacart, market basket analysis, and etc. And she can speak over 5 languages. And this is the volunteering opportunities and awards she gained. And we can see the three companies she worked as a plot here in the visualization. And finally, to end this, we'll select the profile of our professor, Daniel Lee. So yes, this is the profile of our professor on LinkedIn. So this is how I am gonna uh, end this project presentation. So we have finally extracted data from the JSON input files, uh, and using the ETL pipelining, we have taken the data and loaded the data into the SQL tables, and using that data stored in SQL tables, we have created a data source to the Tableau and created this visualization. Thank you for staying with us, and thank you for this opportunity.